Hello everyone. I do not have my screen recording just yet because I've had feedback that it's a bit scary when I first turn it on. I have all of these windows open at once, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and start the stream without capturing the video initially, and just gonna try and get some feedback from someone whether or not my microphone is working. So Jacob, if you can tell me if it's all good, then we can start. So for now, all you can see is my face, but that's absolutely normal. I'm quite excited about today's session and a bit apprehensive. I'll go through that in a second once I know that what I'm saying is actually working. So let's double check that. All right, it sounds like it's all working. So I can start activating the old ready? Should be working. I'm getting some weird feedback. Should be working, Jacob. I can see it myself. Okay, perfect. Works now. All right, sorry about that. Cool, so I'll activate my screen and you'll be able to see everything. All right, can you see everything? Yes, it should be. There's a bit of a delay on the screen here. So I'll double check that as well. Perfect. All right, cool. So I've got quite an interesting session today. I'm excited because this is kind of the first time that I'm going to do this live on stream for everyone to see. I've done this many times for demos. I've done this many times for my own usage to kind of learn how things work, to create kind of bots for myself. I have a while back I basically created my own digital assistant within the ubisend platform, and as part of that, I had to create obviously some integrations. Now, what I'm going to do today is obviously I just kind of let the cat out of the bag here. Is I'm going to create an integration from this platform, from this chatbot, into an external piece of software. Now, for those of you who know ubisend, you know that we have this incredible tool or this incredible approach to chatbots in conversational software in general and kind of conversational workflow automation in general that we can basically integrate with anything. Whilst other platforms might allow you to integrate with a couple of software like HubSpot or Salesforce or Zapier, it's all nice and good. But if you are in Czech Republic and you use a Czech Republic-based piece of software that we've never heard of, and we had to create these integrations one by one for our customers, you can imagine that the priority for us to develop an integration to that piece of Czech software would be really way down the line, way down the priority list. And so we really didn't want to do that. What we wanted to do was create an API toolkit that would basically allow anyone using the platform to connect with any third-party software. As long as this third-party software has an API or an API, a way for us to connect to it, webhooks or APIs, we can connect to it. And so if you want to learn more about this, you can go to ubisend.com/features/APIs, and you'll read more about it. So it's easy access to conversational data. It's powerful, flexible, tech agnostic. Again, you can really connect to anything, and we have various ways of connecting. Now, the reason I'm a bit nervous is I'm not a developer. Now, I need to preempt this with a few things. Obviously, because this is not a one-click integration, it will require some manual work to get it done, which is completely normal and is actually precisely what we want to happen with the integrations within ubisend. Because we want to give as much control to the user as possible to actually create these integrations, we don't want to force our users to say, this is the only way you can use a HubSpot integration or whatever. We actually give all of the tools to the users. And so because of that, you obviously need to configure a little bit to whatever it is that you need. And so, yeah, you do need a little bit of knowledge. Now, like I just mentioned, I'm no developer at all. I probably did a bit of PHP when I was 13, 14, which unfortunately is a long time ago, about 20 years ago. So yeah, I haven't done any programming in a very long time, and nowhere near anything that could be considered relevant today. And yet I can still manage to do this. I obviously have had a lot of help to understand all of this, and you can too. So if you go to docs.ubisend.com, if you already have a ubisend platform license, you can go in here and you can look at integration, and you'll learn about the way to create an integration, which is, if you follow it, incredibly simple. And we'll go through this today within the next kind of 45 minutes, and hopefully I can get to a certain point where we are collecting information, lead information from the bot, and sending it to an external piece of software. Now, I'm going to quickly do something that I should have done before, but the weather literally just changed outside, and I probably look very dark on my camera. So I'm just going to turn on the light. Perfect. So it doesn't look like I'm working from a cave. Okay, so generally speaking, you can connect with anything within the ubisend platform, which is exciting. It does mean that you need to have a little bit of work to get it done, but we obviously provide you with all of the help you need. And if you need to speak to someone about getting this done for you, then obviously come on and speak to us. Jacob, if you're still here, feel free to send these links inside the chat so that people can go and have a look. All right, so as a recap, we've been building a lead generation chatbot, which has a few things going for it. We have a couple of FAQs that kind of surround the general topic of this pretend marketing agency that does SEO services and PPC services and web design services. And we've created 3 conversations here that basically lead the user from asking a question about what kind of services do you provide to, okay, I'm going to inquire about these SEO services. That sounds good. And so when a person goes through this process that we built last episode or a couple of episodes ago, the bot is basically asking them a whole bunch of questions about who they are, obviously, but also what kind of industry they're in, what kind of budget they work with, what kind of goals they have. All sorts of things that will not only allow a salesperson to pick up the phone and contact them, but also make this call obviously quite contextual and really relevant for the user. And so this particular conversation now has about 8 steps, like I mentioned. And so at the moment, what we did last week was we created an integration via an email notification. And so at the moment, what happens is if you go through this entire process, the chatbot will obviously grab all of the information from the user, and at the very end, it will combine it all into this nice email and send an email to myself at the moment. But obviously, the idea here would be to have that email sent to a salesperson, which says, here's all of the information you need to actually make this call. Now, this is all well and good, but an email it's all right. But what's better than an email is an integration into a CRM. Like I mentioned before, I kind of looked around for a CRM. It's difficult to do a live integration like this on stream publicly for everyone to see on an actual existing CRM that I might be familiar with. At ubisend, we use HubSpot, and obviously I can't do a live integration into HubSpot here on stream because that would, probably share a lot of information, personal information about our contacts and API connections, API information and things like that, so I can't do that. And so I looked around a little bit, and one of the tools that I've been using a little bit, not very much, but a little bit, is Airtable. Airtable is, I guess it's kind of a database type of tool. You can do loads of things. You can plan. Yeah, you can do product planning. So you can really do what are you called, Gantt charts and things like that. You can create your calendars and things like that. So it's kind of a marketing tool. There's loads of things, so you can go through, and there's loads of templates and things like that. And honestly, it's really good. It's free as well, which is really cool. I'm assuming it's free up to a certain extent. So at some point you'll have to pay for it. But for the use case that I have here, it's perfect. And obviously they have a sales CRM. And so if I click into the sales CRM, what we find is we can all of this information. If you see any information here, but I don't think we will. Yeah, all of the information that you'd see here would be completely fake. So there's no GDPR issues here. But as you can see, you can obviously create contacts and create accounts and create opportunities and kind of have this CRM feel for it, which is really cool. And it's a nice, easy platform to kind of use. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that Airtable and this particular account is our CRM. And so we're going to try and send the leads that we captured within the ubisend chatbot that we're building, we're going to try and send this to the to Airtable, with obviously the purpose of obviously logging all of the leads we get. If it's a big chatbot that gets loads and loads of traffic, we want to make sure that we don't get spammed by emails every day. We'd rather have a nice and neat CRM organized. Okay, enough talking, enough preamble. Let's go and have a look. So to create a new integration, super simple. I need to go into integrations/integrations or into the integrations page. And as you can see, we don't have currently any integrations. So what I do is I just hit create new or add new. All right, so integration name, I quite like to call them the name of the actual software. We'll see later on how we can create, how we can give names to endpoints and things like that when we start talking about this. So again, if whatever I do looks too complicated, just know that it's not. Any developer, if you're not a developer and you're watching this, just grab and tap on the shoulder of your developer friend and show them this, and they'll think that this is the easiest thing they've ever seen. All right, so integration name, I'm going to do integration to Airtable, so that's perfect. Now, in terms of base URL is basically the starting point of your integration. So this is where all of the data will be sent. You typically send that through like I said, through a URL and then various folders. So we'll have a look at that right now. So the best thing to do is, here I'm inside the actual app of Airtable. This is where I use the app. But what I need to find is basically their API documentation. And so I obviously have gone through this earlier, or not earlier, but the other day. And so I already have it here in my search bar. But if you just do a quick search, you'll find it. That it's just here. It's very typical that you'll find exactly what you need. Cool. So this is what the API documentation looks like. Again, it might look a bit complicated, but it's not. We'll go through things. So what I've done is I went through the sales CRM specific API. So what typically happens with a big product like Airtable or Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever is they'll have loads and loads of different APIs for the different parts of their product, just presumably to make things a bit tidier. And so here, because we want to execute a sales CRM integration, we're going to go and have a look at that. So we land on the introduction, which is all good. What I want to find out is, I'm not logged in, so that's annoying. Let's try and see if I can find the base URL, which is annoying. Oh, here we go. All right, cool. So the base URL, like I said, is kind of the starting point for all of the stuff that you're going to send to this particular API. And typically it looks something like this here on my screen. So here you can find the authentication, specifically the authentication section, which basically says how you're going to actually connect the two pieces of software together. So we have ubisend on one side, we have Airtable on another side, and the developers have opened, I'm probably explaining this terribly, but they have opened little doors that we can connect together to send data. And to kind of connect these doors, we need to actually know where they are placed on the internet. And so this is probably a super terrible explanation, but no matter what. This is where you kind of find this kind of link. So the URL that we need to hit, this base URL, is api.airtable.com/v0. So that's probably just the version of their API. And then here we have a long string of letters and just letters, which is basically my unique identifier. So if you look at it here, and don't worry, this will all be kind of changed once I finish this. So there's nothing that you can really do here to hurt my account. But if you look here, this URL here is basically the same key here is in my domain name here, or no, the URL I'm currently on. And so this is going to be our base URL. So I'm going to copy that and put it in here. All right. So what does this allow us to do? So as you can see, we have here within the sales API, we have opportunities, interactions, accounts, contacts, which if you remember, we have contacts, accounts, interactions, opportunities. So there are 4 kind of different parts of this sales CRM. And basically, depending on what you want to achieve with this integration, you'll have to hit a kind of a different folder. So in this example, it's hitting /opportunities, but we might want to hit /interactions or /accounts or /contacts, which is the one we're actually going to use. And so that's why it's called a base URL. So it's kind of the start of the structure. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we need to actually authorize our connection. Within ubisend, you can authorize the API in 4 different ways. So you can do an API key, you can do a basic authorization, you can do a bearer token, or you can do no authorization at all in the instance where kind of this specific piece of software would not require you to actually authorize. In this instance, what I've noticed here is somewhere here. Here we go. So in the rates limit, and I think even before that somewhere, it says that we need to use the bearer token, which is recommended. And so that's lucky because we actually have that here in the ubisend platform. And so what we only need to do now is we need to get, sorry, I'm going to remove that. So we're going to need to do a bearer token authorization, and we're going to need our API key. Our API key, super simple to find. Again, that's something that's super specific to your account. So if I go back to my platform here and I go into my little account here in the top right, and this is typically where you'll find stuff like that, and I do accounts. Here, if I go on my account overview, you'll see that I have here an API key. This is an API key. It's required in order to create an API connection within Airtable. It's a personal API key, and as you can see, I can regenerate it whenever I want. And that's really good because that means that I can show it to all of you. This is kind of the typical thing you don't want to show people, but here I can obviously just show it, and then at the end of the session, I'll just delete it and regenerate it. And so, yeah, so I need a bearer token, and I need obviously this token, which is this API key. And so I'm going to go and grab that. So if I click here, as you can see, it reveals itself. I can go here and I can copy that in here. All right, so I have all of kind of the information I need for this first part of the integration. If I needed to, I could add rows, but I don't need them. I know this because I've kind of done this once before. This will depend on the actual integration that you want to do. So make sure that you obviously have a deeper look. This could be completely different. For instance, with HubSpot, I know that you do need a header, but with this one particularly, you don't really need it. All right, so I can hit save here. I do not want to save that. All right, so what did I do here? I've basically done 50% of the integration. I've done the connection between the ubisend platform and Airtable. And this is really good. This means that we've created this API connection. Both platforms can now talk to each other. And the next thing I need to do is actually say, all right, well, what do I want actually the two platforms to talk about? I actually need to say what kind of information I want to send from one to the other. And this is what we do with endpoints. Endpoints are the very specific kind of actions that you want to do, the requests you want to send from the ubisend platform to the external piece of software. There are typically 4 types of requests you can do: get, put, post, and delete. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the most common one that you'll do in kind of a lead gen specific use case is a post. A post is basically send this data and post it somewhere else, send it somewhere else. And obviously the rest is kind of different. Each endpoint here within ubisend, you can actually have multiple endpoints. So this is why this kind of API base URL is actually starts or ends at this this section here, at the very last section here, because that means that with one integration, I can actually have multiple endpoints, one to opportunities, one to blah blah blah, one to the other one, etc., etc. So I can do multiple endpoints here. All right. So what I want to do here is I obviously want to create a lead into Airtable. I can actually just say create a lead or send a lead. And what I want to do is I want to figure out, okay, I need to send a lead. This is my CRM. I have a list of contacts here, and what I want to do is I want to send a lead to this very list. So what I want to figure out is by reading the API documentation is what kind of information do I need to send for this to work. And so if I go into the API here, like we looked at earlier, we have the opportunities table, interactions table, accounts table, contacts table. And so obviously what we want to do is we want to go through the contacts table. The contacts table has loads and loads of values that we can use. So we have loads of fields. So every single field has obviously a name and example values. So we have a name and organization, we have email, we have phone number, we have all sorts of things that are currently in our CRM. So what I want to do is I want to figure out, okay, how do I create a record? How do I send a new one? And it's quite simple. To create a new record, issue a post request to contact endpoint. Okay, so that's 2 pieces of information here. The first is that we need to do a post request. So that's good. Post, great. The second is that we need to do it to the contacts endpoint. And so again, we're now going to contacts. Okay, so that's kind of the folder where you're sending all of this information. And then the next thing we need to know is, okay, how do I actually create this this information? And what we're going to do here is you could actually do it in two different ways. You can do using params, which basically allows you to add a row per key per value, etc., etc. Or you can do it in JSON. And if you don't really know what you're doing, I would recommend doing JSON because usually you can just copy paste it from an API documentation to inside the platform. What I found with Airtable that's really cool is that they actually provide you with an example that you can literally just copy paste. And so it says here, to see an example, please add some non-empty records into contacts. So that's really helpful because it means that I can go here and we're in contacts and actually can see everything's empty. So what I can do is I can say Steve, account doesn't matter, we're not going to capture that, Steve at steve.com. Phone number, we're going to do this, just an example. Department, we're not going to use, and that's it. All right, let's just do that. So we have the contact's name, we have the email address, we have the phone number. So now that we've saved this, what I can do is I can go back to this page and just refresh the page. And now it's actually giving me an example of how this should actually be formatted. Now, I won't go into the details of how actually what all of this means, particularly because specifically because I don't actually know what all of this means. But this is really good that I don't know what it means because it just shows you that you don't actually need to know. The important part of all of this is this section here. So what this section does is basically it says we're going to into the records thingy create a record. We're going to say for the field. For each of these fields, we're going to give this information. So for field email, we're going to add Steve. For field phone number, we're going to add this phone number. For field name, we're going to have this name. What's interesting here is that they're doing they're adding it twice because I think somewhere there it goes. You can include an array of up to 10 objects, which we don't necessarily need because we're only going to send one object per times that this integration is actually triggered. So there can really only be one user going through the conversation, giving all of their details to us, and then us capturing, bundling all of that into the integration and sending it to the Airtable API. And so Airtables are being really helpful by providing us two sections here, or two records in this array format, but we only really need one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this, and I'm going to put it into our little JSON thingy here. One cool thing is with the ubisend platform is if I delete one thing here, it's going to turn red, which basically gives me a nice indicator that actually this is missing part of the code, so to speak. And that's actually quite helpful because you want to make sure that you're not sending kind of the wrong things. Now, again, we don't need all of this. We don't need two records to be sent. We only need one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete one of the two, and I'm just going to delete this one. Yep. And we should be good to go here. So we have one bracket, one bracket, one curly bracket, one curly bracket. We have one bracket, one bracket, one bracket, one bracket. So we have the equal amount of thingies, which is my silly way of making sure that we have everything. Okay, so this is kind of step one. If I save this, we're all good. We have this integration set up. We have the connection between the ubisend platform and the Airtable platform, and we have created one endpoint, which is basically saying, when you connect to this new API, I want you to send a post request, which is send information with this very specific information sent. So every time it's going to hit this integration, it's going to send Steve at steve.com, 0800, blah, 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 and name Steve. Now, this is all nice and good, but obviously we don't want it to send Steve at steve.com. That's a bit silly. We don't want it to be the same phone number every time, and we certainly don't want the persons to have the same name every time. So we obviously need to change these using the nice variables that we've created before. So in a previous episode, what we've done was we went in here and we created a whole bunch of variables that we use within the conversations to actually capture the data that we're going to get from the user into these variables. So if I say, if the bot says, what is your name? And I say, Alex, it's going to use my name later on. It's going to bring back this variable as part of the copy. And obviously this helps us tremendously for copy, for contextual engaging conversations, but it also helps us tremendously for integrations, because it means that not only can I use these variables anywhere else inside the app, but I can also use these variables here. So I can just say, all right, instead of just sending steve@steve.com every time, which would make no sense at all, I can just bring up the curly brackets and I can just say, all right, well, send whatever value is inside that email address variable, send that. Whatever value is inside that phone number, send that. Whatever value is inside that first name, send that. And now we have something that's a lot more relevant for us, because we're not going to send the same record every single time. That would absolutely be super stupid. What we're going to send is the value that we've captured on that particular user inside these variables. We're going to grab that value and send it to the integration. I could save this. All right, we're pretty good here. The only thing that I would say is, obviously, if we go back and have a look at the conversation, we're currently, let's say we're going to do the SEO conversation here. So within that conversation, what are we asking actually? We're asking for the first name, so that's good. And then we're asking for their industry. Now that's something that we're not capturing here. If you remember, we're not capturing any of that here. We're not capturing their industry. So where's that data going? We're not capturing their budget. We're not capturing their keyword. We are capturing their email. We are capturing their phone number. And we're not capturing their ideal meeting time. So first thing we need to do is obviously make the two match. We want to make sure that we have these fields inside the CRM so that when they are actually captured, we can also send the value across. And so Airtable do that super simple. They let us do that super simply. I can just add a new column. And so what did I say? So we have industry. So I want to just create a single line of text, because the industry could be anything, called industry. And then what else do we have? We have budget. Same thing, single line of text where we're going to capture their budget. Keyword, we're asking them to give us kind of the target keyword they want to go after. All right, perfect. Ideal meeting time. Perfect as well. We want to make sure that if they tell us, I'd like to get a call at 2 o'clock on a Friday, we want to make sure that we actually capture that, or else the user is going to be very annoyed. Is that everything? I think it is. So I said industry, got that. Budget, got that. SEO keyword, we've got that. Email we have, phone number we have, and meeting time. Okay, perfect. So now that we've added these new fields, what I can do, again, similar to what we've done earlier, is I can actually add value, placeholder values in here, just to teach the API what we're actually looking for here. And so in industry, we're going to say, let's say healthcare. Budget, we're going to say 5,000. Keyword, we're going to say biceps, I don't know. And then ideal meeting time, I'm going to say, this is going to be a format like this, 05, 21, 1400. Yeah. So this kind of, again, same thing as we've done earlier with steve@steve.com and phone number, etc. We're just teaching, well, not teaching, but we're showing the platform, the Airtable platform, what we're actually looking for in terms of data here. And so if I go back to my API here and magically refresh the page, again, Airtables are really nice in giving us actually how this should all be formatted, which is incredibly helpful. And so I can again copy paste this, and I can just say, all right, these are sorry about that. These are the next 4 things that I need to get inside this API. So let's go and copy paste this inside the actual API. Just double checking with my team to make sure everything's still okay. This is going smoothly so far. Okay. Sounds like my mic is every now and then a little bit quiet. So I'm just going to move my mic a little bit this way, and I'm just going to try and away from me. Okay, sorry. There we go. So this should be better. Let me know, Jacob, if this is okay. So, all right, so we've added the new fields inside the CRM, and they magically appeared inside our API documentation here, which is very helpful. And I'm copying them inside my endpoint to make sure that this endpoint doesn't just have this information here, but has all of the information I need. Okay, so we've used the variables for the first 3. Now, obviously, we need to do the same thing. So thankfully, we've done all of that before, so we know how this works. Industry. Budget, we're going to do SEO budget for now. keyword, we have SEO keyword, I think, yep. And then ideal meeting time, we have meeting time, perfect. Okay, so I can save this. And now we have a full API, a full endpoint created. This API is kind of ready to go. And the next thing we need to do, obviously, is tie it to the actual conversation. So let's have a little bit. Let's have a little bit of a look of how this would work. So saving this API, perfect. Going back into Conversation Builder, SEO. Have a look at that. And then at the very end, so same thing as with the previous when we did the emails. What we want to do here is we basically want to make sure that we send this information at the end of the conversation. And so here, if we go to the thank you step, which is the very last step, we click options. As you can see, we probably have the email here set up. Yes, we do. It's here. So what I can do is I can go into integrations, add integrations, make a request to Airtable, and then select the endpoint that we just created, which is send a lead. Save that. Okay, now we're all set, and we can have a little test of it. So if I hit this particular keyword, demo, so I go into the demo, so I can just send this keyword, trigger this specific conversation. So we've gone through all of that before, so if you don't know what I'm doing here, just go back to the previous sessions. All right, so let's have a look. What's your name? Alex. Which industry are you in? Gaming. Okay, you're in the gaming industry. What sort of budget are you working with? So for SEO, let's say £2,000 to £10,000. An idea, well, what would I want to rank for? The word esport, let's say. What's my email address? alex@alex.com. What's my best phone number? Random number. Is there a time and date where you'd like to our team to call you? Yes, so I'm going to do Thursday at 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m. Yeah, that sounds good. Send that. It's thinking a little bit, and sending me the final messages. Now, this kind of delay at the end is quite good news, because it probably means that it's been working to send this information into the CRM. So you can have a look. All right, so as you can see, I've actually received this information. So we have a new contact inside my CRM called Alex, with an email address alex@alex.com, with a phone number like this. We didn't capture any of that because we didn't really care about that. The industry that he's in is in gaming. His budget is this. His keyword is esports, and then ideal meeting time. Unfortunately, sent the actual variable here. So that's interesting. So let's have a look, make sure that I've actually saved this properly. Let's have a look. Integrations, endpoint, ideal meeting time. Yep, should be good. Let's just try it again. I'm just going to save it again and try it again to see if, I think I might have just not hit save properly. All right, so let's say Peter. Hi, Peter. I always struggle to find new names to come up with. I'm in the electronic industry, over £10,000. What would I like to be? Let's cameras. What's my email address? peter@peter.com. Phone number, some random numbers. Time and date, 25th, let's say 12:30. Thinking, sending. All right. So we now have, again, a third record in here. Perfect. peter.com. We have the phone number has been sent. He is in electronics. He has over £10,000 budget. He wants to rank for cameras, and now my actual date has been time and date has been sent. So yeah, it looks like I probably just didn't save properly. And so this is how it's done. Basically, we've created an exact integration between the bot that we built, which is generating leads day in, day out, and sending it, all of it, inside our CRM for my sales team to pick up. All of the information that I captured in a really nice and friendly conversational way that just kind of took the user through this gentle conversation step by step without being too pushy, without looking like a big old form that's a bit scary. I've captured all of this information and I've sent it to Airtable, my sales CRM, the sales CRM that my sales team uses, that everyone in the company loves. They're not necessarily getting an email. They're not having to log into the ubisend platform to find their leads. They can just use the tool that they know and love. They can use the tool that they are used to. They have all of their workflows into that tool. So all we're providing is just a brand new way to capture leads, very valuable leads, very sellable leads, capture them from a different tool, completely different format, completely different channel. This, again, could live on Facebook Messenger, could live on your website, could live on a full-page chatbot, could live on Telegram, could live on anything that you'd like, any kind of channel that you'd like. Capture all this information, push it to our Airtable sales CRM, and just let the salespeople do their job. And this has all been built in about 20 minutes. And obviously, I had to build the previous conversations and things like that, which we've gone through previously in previous sessions. But as you can see, it's not difficult to actually get that done. And you can see you can see how the ubisend platform and your conversational automation at large can really be central to all of the operations that your business might have, because this is a lead generation chatbot, which obviously makes sense. We're asking for the customer's details, and we're sending all of that to a sales CRM, and it all obviously works really well. But you can quickly translate that into an HR chatbot that captures your employees' information and sends it to your HR systems, HR management systems. Or you can see how this would work with a customer service chatbot that might connect all of the or capture all of the tickets from the user, collect all of the information, and send it to your ticketing system or your internal ticketing tool. Things like that. This kind of process works for anything else within your business. It can work for a recruitment thing again. So capture all of the information about a potential recruit, send all of that to your team to analyze their CV and see if there would be a good fit. All of that sort of stuff can be done. The key part of the ubisend platform, to me, and I think to our customers and our partners, is that it is super integratable. You can integrate it with anything else, and it's absolutely paramount to be able to do that in this day and age, because every single company has a tech stack of 10 to 15 pieces of software. And if you can't actually make it work with anything else, then it just becomes this little island in the middle of nowhere that everyone needs to have access to, everyone hates, everyone is just kind of forgets about it. And it's just not good. So this is the way that we build the ubisend platform. And hopefully this was a pretty good demo. I want to kind of end this one early because I think this is a really good place to end. This complete bot has been built in 7 sessions, I think, of about an hour each. And obviously I spend a lot of time waffling on, like you've just seen. I talk a lot. So the key part of all of this is, if you've been watching this whole unfold, if you're actually building this yourself, it wouldn't take you that long to actually build all of this. About half a day could work, and you obviously want to make it better than what we've done here, but it wouldn't take you that long to build all of this. So I hope this was educational. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, come and talk to us on ubisend.com. If you'd like to see a demo, go to ubisend.com/demo, or simply go to our website and click Get Demo here in the top right. And obviously just leave comments and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. All right. See you soon.